Coming up today on Breeze TV, football head coach Curt Cignetti leaves the Dukes for Indiana. But how will JMU replace the Sun Belt Coach of the Year?
Plus, men's basketball slam dunked into their undefeated season. The Dukes plan to use their latest win to push forward.
Then, Acapella takes the stage on campus as the next group to make JMU an everything school.
Live from the Allison B. Parker Studio in the School of Media Arts and Design at James Madison University, this is Breeze TV.
Welcome back to Breeze TV. I'm Maggie Rickerby.
And I'm Zoe Mowry.
JMU football head coach Curt Cignetti will be leaving the Dukes while the team is finally eligible.
So let's throw it over to sports director Colby Reese with more on what this means for the program.
Thank you, Zoe. Football head coach Curt Cignetti will leave James Madison University for the same position at Big Ten Conference member Indiana. Cignetti has been the coach of the Dukes for the past 5 seasons, recording a 52-9 record during his tenure. He led the Dukes to 3 straight CAA conference championships and the team to the FCS title game in 2019. Cignetti helped the Dukes transition to the FBS level and Sun Belt Conference in 2021, where he's accumulated a 19-4 record since the move up, including finishing with the best record in the Sun Belt East for consecutive seasons. Cignetti will head to Indiana to take over the Hoosiers, who went 3-9 this season.
I want to acknowledge his work along with that of his staff and the phenomenal job that they've done to help grow and elevate our football program here.
Cignetti was offered a new contract that would make him the highest paid coach in the Sun Belt before deciding to take the job at Indiana. JMU will now begin its search for a new head coach for the football program, which Bourne says he's, quote, extremely optimistic about, but has to happen in a, quote, narrow window due to the upcoming transfer portal. Bourne says the search for the replacement will be external and doesn't expect to hire a coach already within the program and wants someone with prior head coaching experience. He expects a hire to be made in the next few days to a week.
Has a good rapport with the students. Do you understand, their world? The world's changed a little bit in that regard, and I think understand it from a student athlete's point of view is very important. And can they gel into the Harrisonburg community and be somebody that we see being a good fit here at JMU?
Cignetti will look to win one final time at the helm of JMU, as he will be coaching the team's bowl game in the near future, which the new coach is expected to be in attendance at. Speaking of JMU's bowl game, Breeze Sports editor Kaden Bridges is now joining me to talk about the big game coming up for the Dukes. Thanks for joining me, Kaden.
Thank you for having me, Colby.
All season, JMU's been bowl ineligible, a lot of controversy around that, and now they're in a bowl game. Can you just kind of explain how that happened? Because a lot of people didn't expect this.
Yeah, so initially when JMU first sent a waiver to kind of have their transition process expedited, the NCAA did deny them back in April, but they did say if at the end of the regular FBS season, if there weren't enough bowl-eligible or 6-win teams, JMU would find its way into a bowl game by default. After Clemson beat 5-6 South Carolina Saturday night, JMU found their way.
And we don't know when or where yet. That'll be decided on Sunday. Well, how are fans feeling about JMU being in a bowl game?
Overall, fans are excited. I think they're excited that JMU's finally getting their opportunity, especially after all the turmoil between the university, the NCAA, and Virginia politicians this year. But I think they're a little disappointed that they won't be playing against the Trojans on Saturday in the Sun Belt Championship.
Yeah, and what kind of are the potential bowl games? Like we said, we don't know when or where yet, but what's kind of the feeling that JMU the possibilities?
Right, so like you said, it is a toss-up. There are only 5 affiliated Sun Belt bowl games and 12 Sun Belt teams that are bowl eligible this year, so it is kind of a toss-up. Some of the games that have been mentioned for JMU have been the New Mexico Bowl, Frisco Bowl, Myrtle Beach Bowl, Idaho Potato Bowl, Camellia Bowl, and a few more, but once again, we won't find out until Sunday.
Well, the bowl selection show will take place on Sunday at noon on ESPN. Thank you so much for joining me, Kaden, and we'll have the rest of the sports desk later in the show. But for now, Zoe and Maggie, back to you.
Thanks, Colby. On-campus candle users, listen up. Although JMU prohibits usage in dorms, Harrisonburg Fire Department Chief Matthew Tobia says it's the leading cause of campus fires. According to the U.S. Fire Administration, candles start 20% of fires in university housing bedrooms. In the event of a fire, Tobia says to evacuate immediately instead of taking action. He said to make sure to close your door on your way out and call 911. Another way to stay safe is to have a working smoke alarm. For students living off campus, Tobia recommends changing your smoke alarm battery every 6 months.
I recognize the fact that college kids are college kids and they're living their very best life and they're having a great experience. But every year in the United States, college students die unnecessarily as a result of fire, as a result of delayed notification. And that smoke alarm is meant to be there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with the intent of keeping everyone safe.
Tobia also says students pulling fire alarms in dorms is a serious problem with just as serious consequences.
But when you pull a false alarm, not only are you committing a crime, and we will absolutely prosecute individuals when we can identify them and hold them responsible, but you're putting other people's lives at risk.
Native American Heritage Month ended yesterday. The Center for Multicultural Student Services shared stories from Native Americans with several events throughout this November. For their last event, CMSS showed the film Warrior, which follows the unjust story of Leonard Peltier, a Native American man who's been in jail for almost 5 decades for allegedly killing 2 FBI agents on the Prime Ridge Indian Reservation in 1977. Contributor Lauren Keller follows the story in the Union Ballroom.
Warrior is a film showcasing the story of Leonard Peltier, a leader of the American Indian movement, for supposedly shooting and killing FBI agents Jack Kohler and Ronald Williams at Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in 1975. The Center for Multicultural Student Services opened this event with refreshments at the Union Ballroom for JMU students to learn about Native American issues.
It's really important. I think no matter who you are, I think it honestly affects everyone in my generation, because this is not only one person's case, this is about the whole government.
Peltier's personal assistant and lawyer, Don Lawson, says that Peltier has been suffering in jail for 46 years for murders he did not commit.
His former prosecution supervisor came forward and said they could not prove he did anything but exist on that reservation when those FBI agents pulled up.
Even though Peltier is in jail, that has not silenced the voices of people wanting to take action to get him out of jail.
Very hard to sit here and take it and know that it's wrong, but we can take the little steps to try to fix it in the time that we have while he's still here.
CMS says they hosted this event to help make Leonard Peltier a household name to JMU students in hopes they'll reflect on his story and Native Americans as they go into Thanksgiving break.
So hopefully, with more events like this, more students will know that November is Native American Heritage Month and that Thanksgiving, the history of it, is something we should actually talk about just a bit more.
Reporting for Breeze TV, I'm Lauren Keller.
Sandra J. O'Connor, the first woman on the Supreme Court, has died at 93. O'Connor served a nearly 25-year tenure and was a key figure in Supreme Court cases dealing with abortion, affirmative action, and civil rights. This news comes just days after the death of former U.S. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger. Kissinger was a dominant U.S. diplomat in the Cold War and faced international criticism for his role in the Vietnam War. Before we kick it with the sports desk again after the break, let's take a look at the headlines making waves across the globe. Amelia, what do you have for us?
Thanks, Maggie. Israel has resumed strikes in Gaza after a week-long truce ended this morning. Both Israel and Hamas have accused the other of violating the deal. More than 100 hostages in Gaza, including one American, and 240 Palestinians in Israeli jails have been released since the ceasefire began. Israel estimates that there are around 140 still held captive in Gaza, and health officials say the death toll has surpassed 15,000. The U.S. airlifted 54,000 pounds of humanitarian aid for Gaza on Tuesday, the first of 3 deliveries, and hundreds of Holocaust survivors have condemned Netanyahu as protests continue around the world for Palestine. New GDP data shows that the U.S. economy grew by 5.2%, stronger than originally anticipated. Government spending increasing by 5.5% during this summer was a large contributor to the boost. Consumer spending, however, has dropped, rising at only 3.6%, 0.4 percentage points lower than expected. Republican Representative George Santos has been expelled from the House after a bipartisan vote, 311 to 114, making him the sixth in history. A House Ethics Committee report found substantial evidence that Santos misused campaign funds to pay for personal items such as Botox, Sephora, and OnlyFans, and is subject of a 23-count federal indictment. That's all from the headlines from outside the Valley. Zoe and Maggie, back to you.
Thanks, Amelia. We've got more from sports coming up.
Football goes 11-1 in regular season play and declare themselves kings of the East for the second year in a row.
Plus, soccer kicked their final goals this past week. Reporter Tommy Gerganis recaps the Duke's successful seasons.
Then, volleyball got an at-large bid for the NCAA tournament, but fell short of the win.
Don't leave after the half. You don't want to miss all this and more on Breeze TV Sports.
It's bow time. It takes 49 steps to bake a fluffy, made-from-scratch Bojangles biscuit. But to make it a country ham biscuit, it takes 50. Get a fresh buttermilk biscuit today with a slice of juicy country-style ham. It's bow time. It's bow time.
We gonna split this solo?
No. Come on. Split the drive?
No chance.
What are you wearing? Split these?
I thought you'd never ask.
Introducing Bo's Barbecue Chicken Sandwich and Bo's Carolina Gold Chicken Sandwich. Boldly seasoned hand-breaded chicken, topped with pickles, slaw, and your choice of 2 sauces. So good, you'll want to get both and split them with a friend. Download the Bojangles app and order ahead. It's bow time.
Welcome back to the Sports Desk, your source for all things JMU sports. This is Colby Reese. JMU football played against Coastal Carolina last Saturday in its regular season finale. Here's how the Dukes got the big win in South Carolina.
James Madison traveled to Conway and defeated Coastal Carolina 56-14. This marks the second straight November the Dukes have beaten Coastal on the last day of the season to claim themselves as kings of the Sun Belt East.
We really played well, played for 4 quarters. Really took it to them. 11-1, best record in Sun Belt East.
Cignetti credits his players for the historic year his team put together.
They got strong character and leadership, and they have competitive excellence. Guys that stand up and rise to the occasion. When the chips are down, they stay cool and play their best football. But that's the culture here at JMU. We're used to winning.
JMU avoided back-to-back losses and capped off one of the best seasons in school history with the huge win.
Went out with a bang, kind of the way we wanted to go out. Sun Belt East champs. We feel like we're the Sun Belt champs in general, so that was amazing.
It's special, the love and the bonds that we created just in the beginning of the summer and throughout the fall. We just trust each other, and we just having fun with it. Having fun playing football is always amazing.
The Dukes saw a big turnout from JMU Nation at the game, as they have for all of their road games this season.
I felt like it was a home game. We had so many fans up in that left corner. Saw a lot of purple.
Probably more JMU fans than Coastal at the end of the game. This shows our character, our toughness, and our love for the program, man. I just love JMU.
JMU football will hope to have strong support once more in the program's first ever bowl game. Details for the Dukes' opponent and location will be announced on Sunday.
The Dukes picked up plenty of Sun Belt honors for their outstanding play on the field this season. Jordan McLeod won Player of the Year as the quarterback accumulated 40 total touchdowns. Jalen Green took the Defensive Player of the Year honor. Despite being injured and only playing in 9 games this season, Green still leads the country in total sacks with 15.5. Kirk Cignetti was honored with Coach of the Year after leading the Dukes to an 11-1 overall record and a 7-1 conference record. Jordan McLeod, Zach Horton, Reggie Brown, Elijah Surratt, Jalen Green, and Jamie Croma were all named to the All-Sunbelt First Team. James Carpenter, Mikael Kamara, D'Angelo Pons, and Ryan Hansen all made Second Team, while Aiden Fisher and Camden Wise made the Third Team. Phoenix Sproles, Jalen Walker, Chauncey Logan, and Francis Meehan are all Sunbelt honorable mentions. Number 22 men's basketball returned home on Wednesday for its first game since winning the Cancun Challenge over Thanksgiving break. The Dukes began fast, opening up a 13-point lead in the first 4 minutes. Buffalo responded and went on an 8-0 run to get right back into the game. From there, the remainder of the first half saw back-and-forth action, with the Dukes carrying a 13-point lead into the break. In the second half, JMU wouldn't allow Buffalo to gain true momentum and led by 23 with 4 minutes left. The Dukes would go on to win 81-66. Despite the 15-point win and never trailing, head coach Mark Byington called the win a setback and feels his team didn't play its best. TJ Bickerstaff, the leading scorer for the Dukes in the game with 18 points, says the team just needs to fully play its brand of basketball moving forward.
During the beginning of the game, I didn't feel like we were playing JMU basketball. We talked about it at halftime. We picked it up a little bit, and I think we can really learn from this going into the next game. Like, no matter who it is, just continue to play JMU basketball and keep doing what we've been doing to win.
James Madison remains undefeated on the season and improves to 7-0. Women's basketball took on Liberty in Lynchburg earlier today, falling to the Flames 67-53. Ashanti Barnes led the Dukes in the loss with 12 points and 6 rebounds. 3 Liberty starters nearly scored 20 points, with Emma Hess and Bella Smuda leading the way with 18 points. JMU drops to 5-3 this season, while Liberty improves to 3-5. JMU basketball will host a doubleheader at the Atlantic Union Bank Center on Sunday, with the men taking on Keystone College at 1 p.m. and the women facing Wake Forest at 4 p.m. Both women and men's soccer programs recently wrapped up their seasons. Reporter Tommy Gerganis is in studio to tell us more. Tommy, what do you have for us?
This season, JMU women's soccer earned a spot in the NCAA tournament by way of an at-large berth, achieving the program's first tournament appearance since 2015. Playing in the Sun Belt Conference tournament, the Dukes scored wins in the quarterfinal matchup and a 1-0 shutout of unbeaten South Alabama in the semifinal, but fell in a 2-1 overtime loss against Old Dominion in the Sun Belt Championship. On offense, the Dukes were paced by Suaibatu Muhammad, who had team highs in goals with 7 and total points with 19. Muhammad was one of 3 athletes named to the Sun Belt Conference first team, with defenders Brittany Munson and Alba Fernandez Almagro earning second team honors. JMU played South Carolina on the road in the first round of the NCAA tournament, where the Duke season ended with a 2-0 loss to the Gamecocks. Despite a first-round loss in the Sun Belt Conference tournament to Kentucky, JMU men's soccer also earned an at-large bid into the NCAA tournament, and they will make a deep run. The Dukes produced strong results in the regular season to build their resume, including ties with UVA and West Virginia, and a road victory over number 1 UCF in their final regular season match. The team had 4 athletes named to all Sun Belt Conference teams, with freshman Luca Nicolai and midfielder Clay Ibarra named to the All Sun Belt first team, and midfielders Kevin Larson and Rodrigo Robles named to the second team. In the NCAA tournament, the Dukes won their first-round matchup of the tournament 3-2 against Pittsburgh on the road. The program then recorded a 1-0 victory in an upset of number 4-seeded Georgetown in the second round, before falling 1-0 to Loyola Marymount in the round of 16. That's all I have for soccer. Colby, back to you.
Thanks, Tommy. The volleyball Dukes played in the NCAA tournament on Thursday for the second year in a row with an at-large bid. JMU would be swept in its first-round matchup against Baylor. The Bears beat the Dukes, winning in straight sets, with JMU not being able to keep up. The program finished their season with a 21-10 record, with multiple seniors becoming school record holders. That's all from the world of sports this week. Zoe and Maggie, back to you.
Thanks, Colby. As we wrap up this week of Breeze TV,
reporter Emily Host takes a spin with local student DJ on this installment of Humans of Harrisonburg.
Then from Canada to the Berg, how this couple uses music to travel the country.
Plus, this iconic JMU figure turns 41.
Stay tuned for your weekend weather update and so much more on Breeze TV.
Tailgating is a song heard across campuses, parking lots, and open fields. They say this song can be heard elsewhere, and perhaps this is true, but it is nowhere near as bright, nowhere near as loud, nowhere near as triumphant as it is right here. Tailgating may not have been born here, but here is where tailgaters are born.
It's bow time.
Dude, we need gas.
Yo, we gotta get those Supremes.
We're not gonna make it.
It's bow time, baby.
So worth it, right? I'm glad y'all ran out of gas.
Boldly seasoned chicken Supremes with a biscuit, fixin', and drink. It's bow time.
This is Breeze TV.
Excuse me? JMU Acapella has a busy holiday season coming up with everything from album releases to international competitions. Reporter Alexa Bonilla hits the perfect pitch with some student vocalists.
Recording albums, concerts, and international competitions can be a lot for anyone to balance, especially when you add school into the mix. But these JMU students are hitting all the right notes.
For DeJuan Woods Jr., the president of JMU Low Key, getting accepted to compete in the international competition of collegiate a cappella is a dream come true.
Literally think of Pitch Perfect times 10.
While the success can feel like a movie, Woods says a cappella is not as easy as it sounds.
For winter break, that's where like the big grind starts of like getting all of our arrangements completed. And so when we come back, we'll start a boot camp.
As Notoriety prepares for their album release on December 2nd, members say the workload is starting to feel like an additional course.
It's kind of just like another super fun class, but you have to like budget in the time how you would for like schoolwork.
Recording albums between assignments makes these students feel like industry professionals.
It is really cool to like see that there are people that listen, and we get new listeners every year as well. I just think that that aspect just makes it feel a little bit more like we really are somewhat in a business in the music industry.
At the end of the day, these JMU a cappella students say that it's all worth it.
Overall, it's rewarding once you get past the stress of it all, and you can see your finished product, and you can see the people in the audience or the people who listen to your music and how they receive it.
It's a thrilling experience. Probably a very exhausting, but also so rewarding experience.
Reporting for Breeze TV, I'm Alexa Bonilla.
Making waves behind the turntable and in the classroom, JMU senior known by the alias DJ Griffith has been put on the radar in the local community. Our reporter Emily Host caught up with the man behind the DJ booth.
Young Gravy, DJ Griffith has become a prominent name associated with excitement in the Harrisonburg community.
And the whole reason I do this is to see people smile, laugh, jump around, have a great time. Like it truly does energize me.
Beginning his journey with a humble setup, a beginner's turntable, and a dream, DJ Griffith's story started in his freshman year dorm room during the COVID-19 pandemic as a way to distract himself from his isolation.
COVID was a little dark time, you know, we weren't really connecting with many people. And I was really leaning into music during that time. When I started performing in front of crowds, it became for the other people and like feeding off of their energy. I say that saved me.
While the future remains uncertain for the thriving young artist, DJ Griffith says he knows one thing. He doesn't want to leave JMU or his devoted fan base behind.
The amount of love that I have for this college and this student body is massive. Like without them, I wouldn't be anything. And I really want to make sure to give back to them. It all started here, and without them, I would have had nothing.
For Breeze TV in Harrisonburg, I'm Emily Host.
To get us more in tune, Madeline Gallagher is in studio. Madeline?
Thanks, Zoe. Looking to hear Queen's Don't Stop Me Now played on banjo? Or maybe Milky Chance's Stolen Dance accompanied by an accordion? If so, this Canadian bluegrass duo might have exactly what you're looking for. They're driving across the states, performing at local bars and breweries. When they made their stop in Waynesboro, I had the chance to find out more about what led to this impromptu road trip and how they've been adjusting to their new lifestyle. John Harmon is the manager at Stablecraft Brewing in Waynesboro. He loves allowing artists with a unique sound to play in his brewery.
The down-tempo versions of stuff, and even like the up-tempo versions of some of the other stuff that he was doing was really good. The twang that he brings into his music was a very interesting thing.
And the man behind the music? Meet Josh Michaud.
And we're on.
This fun-loving banjoist has been road tripping across America with his girlfriend Sophie Pichet. Together, they've been living out their dreams of what Michaud calls #vanlife.
When I first started my project a year ago, I started everything from scratch. So everything is so new, so it's kind of a little bit overwhelming. It's a big roller coaster of emotion.
Pichet owned a tattoo studio back home in Montreal before the pandemic led her to sell it. Now that the couple are on the road, she's been able to guest at some studios along the way. She sees this trip as an opportunity to continue her passion.
I sold it to an artist that was at the studio, and I sold my house and bought the van, converted it. I'm really happy I did that. It was a good experience. I just feel like I needed more. I needed to be more nomad.
Michaud admits her adventurous mindset is rubbing off on him, and since meeting her,
I see stuff bigger than what they actually are right now.
Pichet is happy that she could push him out of his comfort zone.
I don't think he would have thought he could do it.
I wasn't sure when I jumped. I was really not sure. But when I done it, it was pretty much the best thing that I've done. Dream big. Even if you do 10% of that, it's still better than if you don't do anything.
Though their home is hundreds of miles away, this trip shows them home is where they create art, whether music or tattoos. And for them, home has 4 wheels. This is Madeline Gallagher reporting for Breeze TV. That's all from me. Maggie and Zoe, back to you.
Thanks, Madeline. This week has been filled with so much music in the Berg. But this week has also been a cold one. Katie, what's it looking like this weekend?
Thanks,
Friday temperatures will be reaching the mid to upper 50s.
We apologize for those technical difficulties, but thank you so much, Katie. Before we wrap up,
we want to say happy birthday to Duke Dog. The beloved JMU mascot turned 41 this week, which is 287 years in dog years. The Duke Dog we all know was designed by Ray V. Sonner, the Vice President for University Relations at the time. On November 28, 1982, Sonner's Duke Dog mascot was revealed for the first time at a basketball game against the Virginia Military Institute. The Dukes took home the 58-33 win, and the packed student section allowed this new Duke Dog into their doghouse. For 41 years, students from all over have had the chance to portray Duke Dog at competitions and games. So here's to 41 more years. Happy birthday, Duke Dog. And Maggie and I looked it up. Duke Dog is a Sagittarius, which means he is smart, assertive, compassionate, and loyal. And we do think Duke Dog's loyal to JMU Nation.
That's right, and we hope you are all loyal to Breeze TV for our last show next week. At the same time, same place.